In a small seaside village, there lived a poor fisherman named Jassim. He was an old man with a white beard and gray hair who loved sitting by the fire in the evenings, telling stories of his youth. He always told the story of the magical ring that changed his life in extraordinary ways. Now, children, listen carefully, began the old Jassim, his wise eyes twinkling as he looked at the kids gathered around him. I'll tell you about a time long ago when I was a poor young man and how a magical ring made me richer than anyone could imagine. At that time, Jassim lived a modest life. Every morning, he would go out to the sea with his old fishing rod, returning home with just a small catch. Sometimes he felt disheartened, but he never lost hope. One stormy day, while fishing at sea, he felt something heavy pulling on his net. When he pulled it up, he found a large fish with a small, ornate ring inside its mouth. The ring didn't look special at first, Jassim said, smiling at the memories, but it held a magical power I couldn't have imagined. After Jassim put the ring on his finger, luck seemed to smile upon him. Suddenly, he began catching rare and valuable fish every time he went out to sea, selling them for high prices. Thanks to the ring's magic, Jassim became the wealthiest person in his village and expanded into trade. I acquired grand ships, Jassim continued, and owned properties everywhere. I lived in a magnificent palace, even more splendid than the king's. But despite all the wealth, I stayed kind-hearted and true to myself. One day, Jassim decided to embark on a grand sea voyage aboard one of his magnificent ships, aiming to catch a huge whale. He wanted to showcase this grand catch to the world. During the journey, he proudly wore the magical ring, believing it brought him good fortune. But then, a sudden storm hit. The waves grew massive, and the ship began to pitch wildly. Amidst the chaos, the ring slipped from his finger and fell into the sea. Jassim tried desperately to retrieve it, but it sank into the depths. That was the hardest moment I ever faced, Jassim said. The ring was the source of my good fortune. Upon returning to shore, Jassim found that his luck had vanished. His business started to fail, and his ships broke down. He lost all his wealth quickly and returned to his old life of fishing. With only a little money left, he lived in a small cottage by the sea. I didn't feel sad, Jassim said. Instead, it was a valuable lesson. I learned that happiness is not in money, but in contentment and gratitude. Jassim returned to his village and learned a profound lesson. He shared his story with children, teaching them to value what they have rather than chasing after wealth that could vanish. Thus, Jassim spent the rest of his days in simplicity, cherishing his memories and teachings. And so, children, always remember that luck is not what brings happiness, but what you possess in contentment and love. The more you appreciate what you have, the more you find true happiness.